Most homeowners assume their plumbing survived winter without a scratch. The truth is, the damage is often already done, quietly waiting for spring to reveal itself. After 3 decades in the trades, I know this season is the most critical time to check your home. Today we are walking through 10 fixes you need to make right now, including a hidden freeze damage repair most people completely miss, plus a bonus tip at the end that is absolutely worth sticking around for. The first fix on our list is outdoor hose bib inspection and repair, and this one catches more homeowners off guard than almost anything else I see every spring. Here is what happens. When temperatures drop below freezing, water sitting inside a standard outdoor spigot can freeze solid. If you have a non-frost-free hose bib, that expanding ice has nowhere to go, and it cracks the brass body of the valve from the inside out. You might not notice a single drip until the first warm day when you go to hook up a garden hose, and by then the damage is already waiting for you. Start by turning the water on at the spigot and watching carefully. A steady drip from around the handle usually means the packing nut has loosened over winter. That is an easy fix. Turn off the water, tighten the packing nut a quarter turn with an adjustable wrench, and test it again. If the drip continues, the washer inside is worn out. Shut off the supply line, remove the handle and stem, and swap in a new washer. They cost less than $1 at any hardware store. If water is weeping from the body of the spigot itself, or you can see a crack in the brass, that valve needs to come out and be replaced entirely. This is the moment I strongly recommend upgrading to a frost-free hose bib. These are designed with a stem that extends 8 to 12 inches back into the wall, so the actual shutoff point sits inside your heated home where it will never freeze. They run between $15 and $30 and can be installed in under an hour with basic tools. One thing to check before you move on. Make sure no old hose is still attached to the spigot. Leaving a hose connected over winter traps water inside the valve and defeats the entire purpose of a frost-free design. That is one of the most common mistakes I see every spring, and it is completely avoidable. The second fix every homeowner needs to tackle this spring is sump pump testing, and I want to be direct with you about why this one matters so much. Spring is peak flooding season. Snow melts fast, rain picks up, and the ground gets saturated quickly. Your sump pump is the only thing standing between all of that water and your basement floor. The problem is that most pumps sit completely unused for months over winter, and by the time they are actually needed, they may have seized up, tripped a float, or quietly burned out a motor without anyone knowing. Testing yours takes about 5 minutes. Start by locating the pump in the pit and confirming the power cord is plugged in and the outlet is working. Then take a bucket and slowly pour water directly into the pit. A fully functional pump should kick on automatically once the water reaches the float level. Pump the water out and shut off cleanly. If it does not start, check whether the float arm is stuck. Sometimes it gets wedged against the side of the pit after months of sitting. Gently free it and test again. If the pump runs but nothing is moving, check the discharge line. That is the pipe carrying water up and out of your home. After a cold winter, ice or debris can partially block it. Disconnect it at the top of the pump and look through toward the exterior exit point. You want clear, unobstructed flow from one end to the other. While you are down there, check the check valve on the discharge line. This is a one-way valve that prevents water from flowing back into the pit after the pump shuts off. If it is cracked, leaking, or missing entirely, your pump is working twice as hard every single cycle. Replacement check valves cost around $10 to $15 and install with just 2 hose clamps. One final thought on this one. Consider a battery backup sump pump if you do not already have one. Power outages happen most during the exact storms that produce the most groundwater. A backup unit gives you the protection you need precisely when the power grid lets you down. The third task that belongs at the top of your spring plumbing checklist is water heater flush and inspection. And this is one that directly affects both your monthly energy bill and how many years your tank actually lasts. Over the course of a year, minerals from your water supply settle at the bottom of the tank as sediment. Calcium, magnesium, and other deposits build up in a layer that sits right between the burner and the water. Your heater has to push heat through that insulating crust, which means higher gas or electric bills and accelerated wear on the heating element or burner assembly. In serious cases, you can actually hear the sediment popping and rumbling when the heater fires. That sound means it is well past time for a flush. Here is how to do it safely. Turn the water heater to its lowest setting or to vacation mode, and let it cool for a few hours. Connect a standard garden hose to the drain valve at the bottom of the tank and run the other end to a floor drain or outside. Turn off the cold water supply at the inlet on top. Open the drain valve and let the tank empty fully. If sediment is heavy, the water will run cloudy or brownish at first. That is completely normal. Once the tank is drained, briefly open the cold water supply again to flush remaining sediment out through the hose. Repeat until the water runs clear. Then close the drain valve, restore the cold supply, and wait for the tank to fully refill before turning the heat back on. This step protects the heating element in electric units from burning out dry. While the tank is drained, inspect the anode rod. This sacrificial metal rod, usually magnesium or aluminum, protects the steel tank from corrosion. It sits at the top of the tank and requires a 1-inch socket to remove. If it is less than half an inch thick or heavily coated in white calcium buildup, replace it. A new anode rod costs between $20 and $40 and can add years to the life of your tank. By the way, if you're finding this advice helpful, you should know it's just a small sample of what I've put into my new guide, The Ultimate Plumbing Playbook. It's packed with step-by-step instructions for hundreds of repairs that can save you thousands. To grab your copy, you can scan the QR code on the screen right now, or just use the first link in the description below. All right, let's continue. The fourth item on our list is one almost nobody thinks about until the worst possible moment, and that is testing your main water shutoff valve. Picture this scenario. A pipe bursts somewhere in your home. Water is spraying, damage is climbing by the second, and you need to stop it right now. You run to the main shutoff valve and turn the handle. It does not move. It has not been touched in years, and it is completely seized. This happens more often than most homeowners would believe, and it turns what could have been a manageable repair into a full-scale disaster. Your main shutoff valve is typically located where the supply line enters your home, whether in a basement, a crawl space, a utility room, or near the water meter. The two most common types are gate valves and ball valves. A gate valve has a round wheel handle that you turn clockwise to close. A ball valve has a lever handle that rotates 90 degrees to shut off flow. Ball valves are generally more reliable, but either type can seize up if they go untouched for years. Turn the valve fully off, then fully back on. If it moves smoothly and pressure returns to normal throughout the house, you are in good shape. If the valve feels stiff or difficult to turn, apply a small amount of plumber's grease to the stem and work it back and forth several times. Do not force it hard. A valve that is heavily corroded or cracked needs to be replaced before it fails on its own terms during an emergency. If you have an older gate valve, this spring is a great time to consider having a licensed plumber swap it for a ball valve. Ball valves are faster to operate, more dependable under pressure, and far less likely to seize. Knowing your shutoff works perfectly is one of the most important safeguards in your entire home. The fifth fix on our checklist is washing machine hose inspection. And this is one of those repairs that feels minor, right up until the moment it is not. Washing machine hoses are one of the leading causes of catastrophic water damage inside American homes. A standard rubber supply hose has a lifespan of roughly 3 to 5 years, but plenty of homeowners have hoses that are 10 or 15 years old and have never given them a second thought. These hoses are under constant pressure every single day, and as the rubber ages, it becomes brittle and prone to ballooning near the fittings. When one finally lets go, it can release hundreds of gallons per hour directly onto your floor. Pull your washing machine away from the wall far enough to get a clear look at both the hot and cold supply hoses connecting the machine to the wall valves. Run your hand along the entire length of each hose. You are feeling for soft spots, bulges, kinking, or any area that feels different from the rest of the hose. Look at the metal fittings at each end. Corrosion, rust staining, or white mineral buildup around the fittings is a sign of slow seeping that could accelerate at any time. If your hoses are rubber and more than 5 years old, replace them now regardless of how they look. The upgrade to braided stainless steel hoses is one of the best investments you can make for around $15 to $20. These hoses are rated to withstand far higher pressure than rubber. They resist kinking and cracking, and they come with burst pressure ratings many times higher than standard hose designs. While you have the machine pulled out, check the valves on the wall behind it as well. These should turn smoothly from fully open to fully closed. If they are stiff or dripping, address them now while you have easy access. Putting the machine back without checking those valves is a missed opportunity you may regret. The sixth item that deserves your attention this spring is toilet flapper and fill valve check. And this one quietly costs homeowners more money than almost any other single plumbing issue in the home. A running toilet can waste anywhere from 200 to over 1,000 gallons of water per day. And the frustrating part is that most people never even hear it. The water just trickles silently from the tank into the bowl and disappears down the drain. You only notice it when your water bill arrives and it is suddenly much higher than it should be. Start with a simple dye test. Drop a few dye tablets or just a small splash of food coloring into the toilet tank without flushing. Wait about 15 minutes without using the toilet and then check the bowl. If color has appeared in the bowl water, your flapper is leaking. It is allowing water to pass through from the tank even when it should be holding a watertight seal. Replacing a flapper takes about 10 minutes and costs between $3 and $10. Turn off the water supply valve behind the toilet, flush to drain the tank, unhook the old flapper from the overflow tube and the chain, and snap the new one into place. Turn the water back on and confirm the seal is tight. While you have the tank lid off, watch the fill valve as the tank refills. Water should rise to the marked line and stop cleanly. If water continues trickling or spills into the overflow tube, the fill valve float is set too high or the valve itself is failing. A complete fill valve replacement costs around $12 to $15 and installs in about 20 minutes using nothing more than an adjustable wrench. This single repair has saved some homeowners hundreds of dollars per year on their water bills. The seventh fix is one I want to give you plenty of detail on because it is the one most people completely overlook, and that is pipe inspection for winter freeze damage. Here is the tricky part about this repair. Pipes that froze over winter do not always burst dramatically and immediately. Many develop hairline cracks or microfractures in the pipe wall that hold together under lower winter pressure, but begin weeping once full water demand returns in spring. By the time water appears, the damage has often been spreading silently inside a wall or ceiling for days. Start by walking through every area of your home where pipes run through unheated or poorly insulated spaces. This includes exterior walls, crawl spaces, under sinks on outside walls, garages, and unfinished basements. Look for any discoloration on drywall or ceilings, soft spots in the wall surface, bubbling paint, or unexplained moisture on the floor nearby. These are all signs that water has been moving through building materials for some time. For any pipes you can see directly, look for frost staining, slight swelling in copper or plastic, or visible deformity in the pipe shape. Copper pipe that has been frozen often develops a subtle oval shape in the wall, where the ice expanded. Run your hand slowly along accessible sections. Moisture or a cool, wet spot on the pipe surface itself can indicate a slow seep. If you find a compromised section, a pipe repair clamp can get you through the short term while you schedule a proper replacement. These clamps cost around $5 to $10 and apply directly over the crack to stop active leaking. For PEX pipe, which is cross-linked polyethylene, small damaged sections can often be cut out and reconnected using push-fit fittings without any soldering or special tools. The most important thing is not to wait. A hairline crack that seeps a tablespoon of water per hour can rot out a wall cavity over several weeks of spring warmth. Catching it now is dramatically less expensive than discovering it in June. The eighth task on our spring plumbing list is aerator and showerhead cleaning. And while it might sound simple, the difference before and after this repair is something you will notice immediately every single day. Over the course of a winter, hard water mineral deposits accumulate inside every aerator and showerhead in your home. Calcium and lime build up in the small mesh screen and spray ports, restricting flow and scattering the stream in uneven directions. What was once a strong, even flow from your faucet turns into an angled dribble that sprays the counter instead of the sink. If your water pressure seems lower than it used to be, this is often the first place to look before assuming there is a bigger problem. Aerators unscrew from the tip of the faucet spout by hand or with a pair of pliers wrapped in a cloth to avoid scratching the finish. Once removed, drop them into a small container of white vinegar and let them soak for at least 30 minutes. For heavy buildup, an overnight soak works even better. Then rinse them under running water and use an old toothbrush to clear any remaining deposits from the mesh screen. Reinstall hand tight and test the flow. For showerheads, fill a plastic bag with white vinegar. Slip it over the showerhead so the spray face is fully submerged and secure it with a rubber band. Let it soak for at least 1 hour. Then remove the bag and run the shower on full pressure for 30 seconds to flush the loosened mineral deposits out through the ports. If soaking does not fully restore flow, replacement aerators are inexpensive and universally available in hardware stores. They come in standard sizes, most commonly 15/16 of an inch and 55/64 of an inch for kitchen faucets. So bring the old one with you to match the thread size. A brand new aerator costs under $3 and restores full pressure instantly. The 9th item every homeowner should tackle before spring is fully underway is under sink and cabinet leak inspection. And I want to emphasize that this one rewards whoever is patient enough to get down and really look. Slow drips under sinks are among the most destructive leaks in the home precisely because they are hidden and gradual. A supply line fitting that weeps even a small amount every day soaks into the cabinet floor, wicks into the wall behind it, and creates the perfect conditions for mold growth and wood rot. By the time you smell something wrong or the cabinet floor feels soft underfoot, significant structural damage may already have occurred. Open every cabinet under every sink in your home and take a good look with a flashlight. Remove any cleaning supplies or stored items so you can see the cabinet floor and back wall clearly. Look for dark staining, soft or swollen wood, white mineral rings from dried water, or any visible moisture on the supply lines or drain connections. Feel along both the hot and cold supply lines from the shutoff valves up to the faucet connections. These braided lines or rigid chrome tubes should be dry and firm. If you feel any moisture or see corrosion at either end fitting, replace the supply line now. A replacement supply line costs between $5 and $15, depending on length and material, and installation requires nothing more than turning off the stop valve and using an adjustable wrench to swap the connection. Check the P-trap as well. This is the curved pipe under the drain that holds a small amount of water to block sewer gases from entering your home. Plastic P-traps can crack or loosen at the slip joint fittings over time, and they often only leak when the sink is in active use. Run the water for a full minute while watching the drain connections directly. Even a slow drip at a slip joint is worth tightening or replacing the same day. The 10th and final fix on our spring checklist is outdoor irrigation system startup. And this one has a few specific steps that will protect your investment and prevent wasted water right from the beginning of the season. If your irrigation system was professionally winterized with a blowout last fall, air was forced through every zone and the lines were cleared. That is the ideal scenario. But even a properly blown out system can develop issues over winter when the ground shifts, fittings contract and expand, and spray heads sit dormant for months. Start the system slowly and deliberately. Begin by opening the main irrigation shutoff valve only a quarter turn. to allow pressure to build gradually in the lines. Filling pressurized pipes too quickly creates a water hammer effect that can crack heads and joints that are already under stress. Let the pressure stabilize for a few minutes before opening the valve fully. Then walk each zone while it runs. Watch every sprinkler head as it rises and sprays. You are looking for heads that do not fully retract, heads that are spraying in the wrong direction, or heads that are producing a weak or broken pattern rather than a clean arc. A sprinkler head that stays partially above ground after a cycle is typically clogged with debris and can often be cleaned without replacement. Unscrew the top of the head, remove the riser and filter screen, rinse everything in clean water, and reinstall. Check all exposed above-ground components, including backflow preventers and timer connections. A backflow preventer that was not properly drained over winter may have a cracked body that will seep once the system is pressurized. These are code-required devices in most regions and should be inspected or tested annually by code in many municipalities. If any section of the system was added or repaired in the past year, wrap all threaded connections with fresh plumber's tape before the seasonal startup. A connection that held fine under low pressure during installation can begin seeping once full irrigation pressure is applied consistently over a full season. And now for the bonus tip that professional plumbers swear by. And this one is going to change the way you think about a repair that almost everyone gets wrong. Here is something most homeowners have never been told. The single best thing you can do for your plumbing system this spring costs absolutely nothing and takes about 10 minutes. Walk through your home and locate every single shut-off valve under every sink, behind every toilet, and at the supply line for your dishwasher, refrigerator ice maker, and washing machine. Turn each one fully off and then fully back on. That is it. That is the tip. Here is why it matters. Shut-off valves that are never exercised slowly build up mineral deposits and corrosion on the internal stem. Over time, the valve stem becomes so seized that when you actually need to close it in an emergency, it either will not move at all, or it breaks entirely in the closed position, leaving you unable to restore water to that fixture until a plumber makes a service call. By cycling every valve in your home once each spring, you keep the internal components lubricated, you verify that each valve actually closes and reopens cleanly, and you give yourself the confidence that in any emergency, you can shut off exactly the right valve immediately. Write the date on a piece of tape and stick it to your water heater as a reminder that you completed this task. It takes 10 minutes once a year, and it is one of the most genuinely useful habits any homeowner can build. Before you go, I want to make sure you know about my complete guide, the Ultimate Plumbing Playbook. It goes way deeper than we can in a single video, with 85 pages covering everything from clearing any clog to replacing your own water heater. If you want to stop wasting money on simple fixes, this book is for you. Just scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description to get your copy. Thanks for watching. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one.